Hi, this is Sheryl Butchin. Welcome to the podcast. I have a very special guest, Diane Prince. She is the founder of Kaya. Kaya helps founder-led businesses grow through highly capable remote teams. Kaya matches companies with skilled Filipino and global talent who can support operations, sales, marketing, admin, client success, project coordination, and other core business functions. Kaya goes beyond the basic task delegation by helping clients design the right role, match with the right talent, onboard effectively, and build long-term remote support that grows with the business. How smart is that? Welcome, Diane. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's great to see you.
So, many business owners see offshore staffing as a way to reduce costs. What are the biggest strategic advantages beyond cost savings that companies often overlook?
Well, I'm glad you asked that because although offshore staffing typically is much less expensive than onshore, there are several advantages. And if we talk about the cost first, it's if you think about a lot of the tech companies, for example, have strategies like Netflix typically pays 3 times the normal market salaries so that they can get an excellent person. Well, when you're working with remote talent in the Philippines, solopreneurs even can use that same strategy. So you can get exceptional talent at what might be minimum wage in your area. So that is a huge benefit that should be talked about. Also, you have access to the entire globe. There are skills that there are highly skilled people who really want to do the job. It can be difficult to find rock stars. Somebody asked me the other day about how hard it is now to find rock stars locally. And a solution to that is finding rock stars around the globe. You're looking at people, if we're talking about the Philippines, for example, that are so grateful for the opportunity. For them, this kind of work is very prestigious and generally pays really well compared to what they would be making otherwise. Also, remote work allows them the ability to not commute 2 to 3 hours each way in traffic, which is common in Manila, or be an offshore worker. Because a lot of families in the Philippines have at least one parent who is an overseas Filipino worker and doesn't get to see their family. So you're getting really grateful people who the job means a lot to. And also, honestly, I find that there's a lot less drama with overseas employees.
Wow, that's exciting to hear all of that. And yes, I also feel that there's a long-time loyalty when you hire somebody outside the US. I feel like that there's stronger loyalty to the company and less turnover that I found in working in global companies. What types of roles tend to be the best fit for offshore staffing, and which roles should organizations be more cautious about moving offshore?
Well, for us at Kaya, we recruit specifically for roles. So it's really any role that doesn't need to be done in person can be done offshore. And I would
What?
say for as far as what to be cautious about, any role where there's not a person who can help onboard somebody, that's a common mistake that people make, is that sometimes people think that someone from the Philippines is a magical unicorn being and has this idea. And so, some virtual assistant agencies actually advertise that. There's a lot of overhyping, like they can do anything and this and this and this. So really having realistic expectations of what one person can do is important. So be careful of offloading roles that you don't have clear expectations. You don't have clear outcomes that you want from the role. Sometimes people, when I work with founders, they might say, oh, we need I don't know, like we need a sales support person, but they don't really know what they're expecting from that person. So I always take the approach of know what you want to get out of the role, whether you're hiring offshore or domestically, know what
Right.
you get out of the role more so than just the title.
Great. What are the most common mistake companies make when hiring offshore talent, and how can they avoid them?
Not spending time training, which is the same as when you hire people locally. Not what I've coached startup employees, and the most common frustration is not knowing if they're doing a good job, not knowing what the expectations are, not knowing how they're measured. And it's the same that's the same most common mistake that I see with managing offshore people is not clearly expressing, giving clear and direct quick feedback is very important. And also being there. Don't be some founders will hire an offshore team, but then everything still has to go through the founder. So the first 90 days is really essential. I see that as the essential time when onboarding people, to give them your time. And your role will shift from, okay, what does my team need from me today in order for me not to be the bottleneck and for them to be successful?
I can almost place your whole conversation into new hire, full-time, on-ground people, because they need the same basic onboarding care and babysitting and all of those things that you said. But I'm just going to say generally, most employees need that kind of onboarding or they're not going to stay.
Absolutely. And that's probably the most common mistake we see here, right?
Exactly. How do you ensure offshore employees feel connected to the company's culture, mission, and values rather than feeling like a separate workforce?
This depends if a company is all remote or if it's hybrid. I tend to think like all remote I like because everybody's sort of in the same boat no matter where they are. But stay connected, Slack, we have my entire team is offshore. So, but involved in hybrid companies before. So you want to make sure that you are reliable. I show up to my team meetings. I'm always on time. We always end on time. And that's one of the main things that my team knows. Now, I might not get all my stuff done on time. I try, but I communicate, and to make them feel connected, it's important for them not to be just kind of left hanging. So sometimes I'll see managers kind of not miss meetings with their offshore team and then not communicate, and that really leaves people hanging. So
Yeah,
yeah, really,
absolutely.
communication, right? Clear and direct. One of my core values is clear and direct communication, and another one is reliability. Those two are so important.
I agree. Even just generally with the global company, with your people in different offices and things like that. But rather than it being everybody, it was just offices in different locations. So they all thought that they were like the third child or the whatever, the stepchild,
Yeah.
because they had a different culture and different things like that. So
Yeah, and you get what you put in. And also there are some things to know about the culture, like within the Philippines, it's very typical, like they're they tend to be people pleasers, which I mean total stereotype, but which is the best kind of employer, people pleasers.
yes.
And, and you also I realized I needed to check in with them and make sure that they clearly understood what we were doing. I always express my vision as clearly as possible, check in with them to make sure that they understand what the company does, because that's something people will tend to like kind of gloss over. And it's common there in the universities there, they typically aren't supposed to ask questions. They're just supposed to figure everything out and know everything. So that's one snag that we had early on in my team. So it was really making sure that they understood that they could come to me and ask questions.
And you were approachable, and they felt comfortable with that because
And
you've
I used
already.
to not be. I set myself, so like even before COVID, when I realized how accessible the global workforce was, I wanted to crack the code and figure out how to best work with offshore people so that my business, my main thing was expressing my vision and having other people execute it. So I really set out and spent a lot of time working on how to best manage and work with remote people.
Okay.
But I used to do the same thing. I'd bring people on and just assume they just would figure it all out, and it did not work so well.
Right. It's better to have a plan. How should leaders measure the success of an offshore staffing strategy? What metrics matter most?
Well, it depends on the role. Like, for example, one of the roles we commonly place are recruiters. So they're going to have metrics that other recruiters would have. We use EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System, within our team, and a lot of our other VAs use that with their clients. So we have a weekly meeting where we track metrics, we track to-dos, we track monthly quarterly rocks.
Okay, so many executives worry about communications, quality, and accountability. How do successful organizations address those concerns from the beginning?
Clear and direct feedback.
Stay connected. I'm quoting back to you.
Yeah. And see the first 90 days of any hire. Like you said, Sheryl, it's also when you hire people in person, see that first 90 days as an essential time where you're setting expectations. I always like from the job description. When I write job descriptions, the expectations, if they are clearly set in the job description, your recruits, your candidates, from the time they see the job description or see the job listing on LinkedIn or whatever it is, when you say what success looks like in the role, that's going to be in their minds the entire time. So set it from those expectations from the very beginning. People want to be successful, and in order to be successful, they need to know what success looks like for them in their role.
Excellent. As artificial intelligence continues to automate tasks, how do you see the relationship between AI and offshore staffing evolving over the next 5 years or in the next few years? Because everything moves so fast.
Right.
5 years could be 10 years.
Do we even know what's going to happen next week? I mean,
No.
it's like the world changes so fast. I could not even 5 years from now.
I agree.
So AI is a tool as of now, as of recording this podcast. AI is a tool. So you want to have people who are willing and interested in finding tools and managing tools. So I see AI as a way to extend capabilities through everyone in your organization. When people say, well, first of all, AI is not really there yet where it can just do everything, but you still need someone to run the AI. So if you are a solopreneur, for example, and just want to use AI, then you're basically an AI operator and not what your core best value is to the business. So I see it as it's basically complementary in a way to extend your team, where maybe if you have a virtual assistant, maybe then they use AI to magnify their capabilities, their capacity.
Improve, not replace.
Yes,
and you need the people.
My team makes decisions. So that's one of the most important things that I do in my team is that they are empowered to make decisions, like big decisions, because I don't want to be the bottleneck. I don't want to do everything. And also it takes mental capacity. So I want people offshore or, if they're domestic, whatever, to be able to make decisions. And I think that's really important.
It would be lovely to hear any boss of mine say, I'm going to do that, because I would think that no friction, what? Like get stuff done on the time that I want to. So lovely to hear. Maybe if you have an opening down the road, I'll come look for you. Oh, gosh, we're almost at the end. Can you, 2 more. Can you share a client success story where offshore staffing helped solve a significant business challenge or accelerated growth?
Yes.
Sure, you're doing this a lot now.
Yes, and everybody wants to hear about sales success stories. So I'll share a couple. One is on our team. So we have a virtual assistant, and when I say virtual assistants, I mean really any offshore skilled person who he nurtures leads. And that is, huge, because most of the time, if it's a founder-led business, or even with sales team, nurturing is something you do if you have time to do it. And so we have somebody who his main role is nurturing leads consistently. Sometimes deals close on the 23rd touch, sometimes they close on the first touch. So one thing that I hear over and over and over from founders is biz dev just stops when they're busy. So that's huge. I mean, we've increased our
Yes.
close rate by over 300% by having someone nurturing leads.
Wow.
Yeah, we have another client who's a venture-backed podcast production company, and they, once they started hiring people from Kaya, they actually now have 7 people, and they've started replacing some of their podcast editors, and they're just hiring from us because the people that we found are more highly skilled. So that's a huge story too.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Also, that business, while they were doing cost cutting and layoffs, and at the same time they were able to then bring in highly
Head
skilled
count. Yeah.
who could do the work. What, like one person salary is like 5.
And they had the skills, which
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yes. Yeah, there are a lot of people all over the world who are very skilled and want to do things.
So I have a lot of leaders watching this. So I just wanted to ask, for a CEO considering offshore staffing for the first time, what are the first 3 steps you would recommend taking to ensure a successful implementation?
First, talk to my team. They're very good at onboarding. So what we do a very detailed dive. I would say get clear on what you want to get out of it. Get clear on outcomes. Focus on that versus the job description, right? So you want to know what you want to get out of the role, and the mission of your business and your mission in the business. What is the mission? Where it is when you're looking for offshore staffing, what is their mission? The people that you're hiring. So everybody, that you know where people fit in. So I would say that one step is getting clear on what you want to get out of it, what you want the outcome to be. Talk to somebody who is, whether it's us or somebody who is familiar. I would say talk to somebody who can really help you, who's good at this kind of thing, who knows what they're doing, one thing that we do is if somebody doesn't work out, we replace them. So instead of just kind of you having to recruit. So I'd say find a good agency and
It's just a win-win all around.
Yes. Be ready to give it some attention. But hiring managers and founders often underestimate their importance of being present for their team. They want to do everything, or they say, "Oh, it's just easier for me to do it myself," or "I'm the only one that can do this." Where really, if they're there for their team and making sure that their team has support and can be successful, then they're evolving with the business.
So mandate, touch base with your employees and one-on-ones and those kind of things so that you're always building that relationship instead of neglecting it.
Yeah, make sure they have what they want. I mean, not what they want. That's helpful too. But
not everything.
Make sure they have what they need. Make sure they have what they need. Yes. Yes.
The resources, exactly.
Yes.
Wow, it was so lovely talking to you. I can't believe the time went so fast. Is there anything else you would like to share with business owners, HR leaders, anything else that you think that would help them make a decision about this topic?
Just say talk to somebody who's been there. Get educated. Sometimes you'll hear people say, "Oh, I hired someone from from India. It didn't work out." Well, that can be the same as I hired someone from Texas and it didn't work out. So just know that these are individuals and everybody's different. So that's something that's important to know. Yeah, but don't be afraid of it. Dive in, and I mean, it can totally just change your life. I know it did for me.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Okay, I'm gonna say goodbye to you.